Hello and welcome to the August programming of Alverno Strong Educators. My name is Alexis Torres and I'm a current junior at Alverno and an intern for the Alumni Engagement Office. Today joining me is Jim Young, Assistant Principal for Central High School, and Scott Hanson, Principal of St. Joseph Academy. So thank you both for joining me today. For the first question I have is, could you share a little bit about what like a day in your life looks like in your positions?
Well, no 2 days are ever the same. For me, my job completely revolves around serving students and teachers. So it's really, very little time is my time. It's based on what the needs of the school is. So and there's some stuff that's consistent around like observing teachers, working in the cafeteria, being in the hallways, things like that. And then the day goes based on what happens in the school. So whatever the needs of the students might be, that's what I do for the day. So it's all about just serving students first.
Yeah, I try to be there before teachers get there, so that when they come in, if they have a question, they can swing by my office and ask. But then it's just arrival time with the students and trying to be present and greet the students as they're coming in. It seems like between 9 and 11 a.m. is when all the meetings want to happen, but that's also a really important time for reading and math, and so it's a balancing act of doing the necessary meetings, but then also getting in classrooms and seeing what the learning that's happening in the morning. And then, during lunchtime and the afternoon, there's all sorts of different classes to observe and different things to work on. So that kind of takes us all the way to dismissal.
So you're both in leadership positions. What drew you to pursue those?
For me, I think it was just the opportunity to impact as many students as possible. So as a teacher, you're limited to the number of students that you have in your classes. So at that point for me, when I was teaching, it was like 150 kids in a day, but now I impact 1,100 kids a day. And so the opportunity to serve more students and teachers was really what appealed to me, so that way I can empower teachers and students to reach their goals and in turn be able to touch the lives of more students.
Yeah, I would agree with Jim. I think it's about serving students and serving teachers so that they can serve students. I've always thought of myself as a servant leader first, and so I think having that impact, like Jim mentioned, we both started off in the classroom and took on other leadership roles. I think it was just kind of fit our nature, and we enjoy seeing not just working with small groups of students, but then impacting larger groups too.
How do you feel you demonstrate leadership skills?
For me, I try to always lead by example. So it's important when I'm out in the school building or even with a meet with the kid one-on-one, I'm always modeling the behavior that I would want our students and our teachers to have. So for me, it's how I interact with people, how I talk to people, always treating people with respect, treating people the way that I want to be treated. But just also knowing that anytime I'm with anyone, I know that people are looking to me to kind of set the tone and to see how they should handle themselves, because that's, as a leader, it's your responsibility to set the culture in a building.
Agreed, and I think I'm a big picture kind of person, so I feel like I set the vision for where we want the school to be, and whether that's by the end of this particular school year or 5 years from now. So I feel like part of my leadership strengths are keeping people's eyes on the future and where we're going while we're still working through the details in order to get there.
So what advice would you receive or would you give to those that are working towards your type of professions?
I would say to just get as many different opportunities as you can. A lot of times being in leadership roles, you do jobs that nobody else wants to do, and you yourself don't even want to do them all the time. But the more experience you can get in all sorts of different fields, whether it's instruction, operations, culture, whatever it could be, just work in those areas so that way whenever you do get the opportunity to be a leader, you have something to draw from. Then also just ask a lot of questions, establish as many relationships as you can. It's like Scott and I know each other. He's still somebody that I could hit up if I needed to for help. And we're all in this together, so I would say just don't be afraid to ask for help and to get to know people.
Great.
Yeah, staying connected, looking for opportunities, being curious, asking people in leadership roles kind of what their day looks like, and maybe even having a chance to help them out with something. I also think keeping our eyes open to where the needs are. I feel like it's important to operate as a team and to lead by example by doing that. If you see the trash needs to be picked up, then go ahead and do it. No one's above doing anything in the building if it's a true team atmosphere. So I feel like, people will respond to your leadership even more so when they see that you're willing to do the really detailed tasks that maybe could be easily overlooked.
So was there any advice that you were given before you got to these leadership positions?
Advice I was given early on in education was just always put students first, that if you're operating with the student's best interest in mind, that everything else will kind of take care of itself. And even though sometimes that might make for difficult decisions when managing adults or when dealing with the community or the public, that ultimately we serve our students first. And so if you keep that in the front, that'll let you dictate all of your other decisions.
Along with that is all students can learn, and keeping the all in all caps. And if that makes people uncomfortable, then having that conversation about why does that make you uncomfortable, believing that all students can learn. And even when I got into a position, another just more concrete piece of advice that's always stuck with me is have difficult conversations early in the morning, whether that's with a parent or with a staff member. Those kind of conversations that you get a little funny thing in your stomach about, and you just don't hold on to those and think, oh, I've got time this afternoon to get to it, because something inevitably happens and then you push it back to the next day. So, and I'll say too, we talk a lot about critical conversations at our school. When you go have a critical conversation, it oftentimes is less dramatic than you've built it up to be in your head.
Yeah.
And so another reason why having those conversations early in the morning just kind of sets your day on the right trajectory.
That's great. So you both got your master's from Alverno. What drew you to this school?
For me, it was the opportunity. In education in Milwaukee, you come across a lot of Alverno grads, and all of them were all really impressive. And so I wanted to be able to participate and learn at the same place that a lot of them had learned from. I'd heard so many good things, both from students who had gone to Alverno, but also adults that I worked with too, that I wanted to be a part of that community.
Great.
I'd say two main reasons to join Alverno. One was the licensure to master's program, that being able to have a teaching job, which I had at the time, and work on my teaching license because I didn't have it, and then also add a master's on top of that, all within the 2-year program, whatever it was perfect. And then I will say the 8 abilities model really resonated with me. I remember a long time ago going out with some friends downtown, and one of them was talking about like how did they not give grades? What kind of school is that? And I'm like, well, what if you set the criteria at an A level and you have to keep working at it until you reach all those criteria, then you got an A. And his mind was blown. He's like, I've never thought about that before. So that's carried with me throughout my educational career.
I would have to agree. I love the fact we have the 8 abilities versus just, you get like a B or an A. How did your Alverno experience differ from the other universities and colleges you attended?
So I actually have a master's degree from another school in Milwaukee. I don't know if I should say the name or not, but the difference here was that I felt like I could work with the professors to, just like Scott was saying, I was working in a school at the time, and so all of the projects and assignments I could work with my professors to make the project something I could actually use at my school, whereas that wasn't the case at the other university that I went to. It was very much like you just have to do this, and it didn't apply to what I was doing at all. So the flexibility, the way that the professors would work with you around projects, but also just like, just kind of like what Scott just said, right? There were some times where my work wasn't what they wanted, and so I did it again, and it allowed me to actually learn what they wanted me to learn rather than just get a substandard grade.
Yeah, we have very similar stories. I also have a master's degree from another college here in the area, but what set Alverno apart, I think, that has stuck with me is the self-reflection piece. Not just for me as a learner, but then when I was an educator, to emphasize that with my students in my classroom, because as I'm sure most people at Alverno would agree, oftentimes the self-reflective piece is where the true learning comes in. So I've also tried to adapt that to staff meetings or different types of reflective tools with data when they're analyzing data, and just trying to keep that reflective piece as part of our just part of what we do.
I guess that kind of ties into my next question of how does Alverno's teaching and learning style influence the way you educate?
I think that the big thing in Alverno is you're going to keep doing it until you do it well, like until you do it the right way. And even if you don't do something well the first time, there's still an opportunity to learn from that and to keep going. And that's really what I try to do with kids. I mean, I'm not in the classroom anymore, but at the same time, I'm constantly, we're all teachers, and every day, whether it's a decision that a student made or a situation that they're trying to get guidance on, there's an opportunity for us to learn and to keep working at it. So that's really what I try to bring every day, is that opportunity. We're going to keep learning. You can make mistakes, but ultimately we're going to get where we need to be.
It's great.
If you think about something that you've been interested in and you've tried to recreate it yourself, you know that the first time you tried it probably wasn't that great, right? But because you're interested in it, because it fit your passion, you tried it again and you tried it again, whether that's something in the arts, writing a song, doing a painting, running, exercising, getting back to doing push-up stuff. You know the first times are always tough. So that mindset of doing multiple drafts, having multiple opportunities to demonstrate mastery, to speak in education language, I feel like that has really stuck with me, that we've all experienced kids, students who have that one and done mindset. And why do they have that mindset? Well, it's because that's probably what they're carrying over from old habits they've built in the previous education formats they've had. So now, not every assignment can be multiple drafts, but being selective and judicious with those assignments that you offer students, and you give them the chance to try it multiple times, then you see the self-pride or the pride they have in their own work. Then you see like the light bulbs go off, like, oh, I guess like just because I wrote it doesn't mean it's really reflective of what I truly know. Maybe I just cranked it out at the last minute and turned it in. So giving kids those opportunities to truly demonstrate what they've mastered through multiple opportunities has been something that's stuck with me.
That's great, and I fully believe that students should have the opportunity to do that, so it's not just a one and done thing. They should be proud of their work.
Yeah.
So how did your time at Alverno influence the way you demonstrate leadership?
I think that I just learned a lot about empathy and how to hold people accountable, but from that empathetic standpoint. So just like Scott said, right, we've always believed that all students can learn, but it's about being able to tailor what the students need specifically to them in a different way than I might have before. And I really learned that at Alverno through the process with professors in terms of expectations, with the 8 abilities, working with your peers. So I really try to bring that to working with kids every day.
It's great.
I think at Alverno I picked up on a couple things, but like leading with your heart is one of them. All the professors I had here were doing that and modeled that. And they encourage that. Like, everyone comes from a different perspective, but trusting and being who you are, and resting in that and being confident in that. And having conversations sticks out, whether that's a coaching conversation. Alverno did a great job of preparing us for coaching conversations, even with video feedback and things like that. And even the conversations that the professors had with us one-on-one. Again, just modeled that, like, hey, let's talk, let's build a relationship, and really talk about what you need to take the next step.
So the last question is something we like to ask all of our alums. What does Alverno Strong mean to you?
I think when I think about Alverno Strong right away, I think about strong women. Obviously, I'm not a woman, but so it means kind of whatever it takes, to keep going. That you're being Alverno Strong means that you're gonna do it until you get it done and do it the right way. But really, it does mean to me like just strong women, given that so many of the women that come through here that I've worked with, like I said, students that have graduated from here, they're just, they're everything that you want them to be in terms of the abilities and productive members of our community. So it really means strong women to me, but also it means just like whatever it takes to get it done.
And I think of strong leaders. Again, I know multiple people who've come through Alverno's programs, and all of them have demonstrated strong leadership abilities.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. I really appreciate it, and thank you for educating our students in Milwaukee.
Thank you.
Definitely, thank you.